You're listening to Ricky and Jimmy on Relationships, the show where we uncover the thoughts and behaviors that are sabotaging your relationship and what you can do about it. Jimmy and I are passionate about sharing the ways that imperfect partners like you and I can shift unhealthy relational dynamics and create closeness. So welcome. Drop your defenses and open your heart, eyes, and ears. Let's learn how to be the best partner we can be together.
Okay, I'm going to start. Welcome back to any of our listeners. We're so glad that you're here. And Ricky, I'm so glad that you're here as well. Okay, here's the question. Let me get down to the real question. Does my partner have the right to look at my phone whenever they want?
Ooh, and that's a controversial one.
It's so controversial. I love it,
It is controversial. And I have seen many pros and cons to this on the internet.
Okay.
Like, some people are vehemently for, and some
absolutely.
are like very against.
Staunchly against, yeah. Do you think it has anything to do with, because the wording there, that's what my video is going to be about. It's like, does my partner have access, a right to look at my phone whenever they want? Does the wording matter? Because is it different if it's a spouse versus a partner? Because a partner can be like, we've been dating for 3 months. Does that person have the right to look at my phone whenever they want? That might change the question, other than, well, we've been married for 10 years. Does my wife have the access to my phone whenever she wants?
That really good question.
So we might have to answer both of those questions.
Yeah.
Or maybe we blend them together. I'll let you start, even though I sprung it on you. I'll let you start.
Right. But maybe we'll get there kind of organically.
Yeah.
What is your policy in your personal relationship?
Oh, well, my policy is my wife has full access to my phone.
Okay, I think they call that an open phone policy. Right?
Oh, I've never heard that.
I've seen that online. The open phone policy means my phone is your phone. It's not password protected. Right. We just leave it out, and the other person is free to peruse it or pick it up whenever they feel like.
Right. Now, my situation is a little bit different. For anyone who doesn't know, I try to post a video every now and then on my page about how years ago in my marriage I had an affair. All of this emotional intelligence and all of this journey, it all started with me almost losing my family and us deciding on divorce. So I got very knowledgeable purposefully on how to rebuild trust in my marriage and took that very seriously. So part of that is, if anyone has ever had any issues with betrayal, then I would say you completely lose your right to privacy when it comes to like your phone. So,
I see. So it's based on previous behavior,
correct.
Right? Like if you've given them a reason to need to check something like that, then an open phone policy is probably best. So
but if I'm looking at it from, if there's no betrayal, I'm fascinated with the question because a part of me says that they don't have a right to look at your phone whenever they want, because think about the breakdown of that. Think about how unhealthy it would be if our partner was just continually checking our phone whenever they wanted.
Yeah.
I mean that can get real unhealthy real quick.
Absolutely it can. And I think maybe it's kind of great that you and I are exploring this question, because I think we approach it from very different scenarios and kind of relationships. My relationship is a lot newer than yours, so there's that. But as far as I'm aware of, we haven't had any kind of infidelity. So we don't have an open phone policy, Chris and I don't.
And you're also not married, so.
We're also not married, so there's that.
But you are in a long-term relationship.
Yeah, we've been together 4 years now. And like I said, as far as I know, there hasn't been any infidelity. So I was really interested in seeing things online that were talking about in defense of keeping your phone private. Which is, I know that anybody who had any kind of infidelity in the past is like, oh, like that's not what they want to hear. But I remember seeing things that said, like, not having something that's private and your own like that, it's like it sends a message out to both partners. I don't trust you, right? Like I need to comb through your phone and check up on you just in case. Like, and I really, with myself and my partner, I kind of think we are establishing that trust right now. So I don't know that having a policy where we regularly comb through each other's personal stuff would set us up for that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I guess it doesn't imply that the person has to regularly comb through. I guess if I'm thinking about someone who's saying, yes, your partner should be a complete open book. I guess from their perspective, they would say, well, what are they trying to hide?
Right.
If they don't have anything to hide, then why would they mind? But then you could say, well, yeah, but isn't there still a right to privacy? It's like the cops breaking into your house and saying, well, what do you have to hide in here?
Right.
And you're like, I don't have anything to hide, but you can't just like come in my house. So, but then at the same time, I can completely see it from the standpoint of well, let me tell you what I settled on, and I have a bad feeling that we're going to probably agree, which won't make for good TV. It won't make for good audio.
That's all right.
So here's what I settled on. Tell me what I missed in this. Your partner should have full access to your phone, especially if you're married. This is more if you're married. If you're dating, that's a whole different ballgame. Your partner your 3-month relationship should not be going through your phone at any. I don't believe so.
I think we're in agreement there. That's ridiculous. Yeah,
but we're talking long-term relationships. Your partner should have full access to your phone, but they should trust you enough not to need to go through it. So, because
you're right. Yeah.
Because let's put it in context. If your partner has a desire to go through your phone, maybe this is the first time you've been dating for a year, and they just have this sneaking suspicion, I need to go through their phone.
Sure, got it.
That's a full stop right there. Where do you have the right to go through their phone? We could argue that. But at the same time, you need to stop and think, well, what's happening inside of me right now? I have a desire to go through this person's phone. And usually when you have that desire, it's not just like a little desire. It's like a panicky, I need to go through your phone. I need to comb through. I'm not talking about just like, let me just open up and like quickly scan. No. I need to comb through.
Right. It's like I need a good 45 minutes because I'm going to search through every single photo on the album. Yeah.
Because I'm panicking on the inside. So that raises other issues, which is, well, is this something that you can talk to your partner about? Like, hey, this is how I'm feeling X based off your behavior of Y. Is that something that you can talk to them about? Or you're really just wanting to go behind their back?
Right. Well, perfect. You've perfectly illustrated the situation that we have. Our phones are not password protected. We know each other's, they're locked, but we know each other's passwords. But at the same time, I've never picked it up and gone through it. His phone, and as far as I know, he has not done that with mine. So when I get the urge, it feels like he's been acting a little shady or being a little secretive. Instead of picking up his phone and unlocking it and going through it, which I can, because sometimes he's in the shower and his phone's not there, right? Like it's not like it's hidden in a drawer that's locked. But when I feel that urge, I use that as a call to communicate with him about it. Like, hey, I know this sounds a little crazy, but it feels like you've been a little distant and secretive. I don't know why I'm picking that up, but what do you think? Where do you think that's coming from?
And that's not to say some people would push back and say, okay, if I had that conversation, he would obviously just deny.
But
so
but to that, I say, if I was with the kind of person who is not having an open conversation with me about it, I'm questioning that relationship then.
Absolutely.
Hey, that's part of not going through his phone is he has to be open to having a conversation with me when I'm feeling creepy about it.
Yeah. So obviously if they can't have that conversation, that still doesn't justify, well, just go through it anyways.
No, it does not.
But I understand that feeling, and it's a terrible feeling. And here's one point. This might not help the case of somebody not wanting to go through, but I bet that when you start to have that intuition, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying,
oh, sure,
there's a chance, and it might be a good one. It might be a 25-30% chance that when you have that sneaking suspicion and you go through their phone, there is something major that they're hiding.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying do it because of that, but I'm saying like I do trust your intuition just like you do. So like,
Yeah.
that's
Well,
something that you
I-
need to pay attention to.
Yeah, there's been a time when I have said to him like, "Hey, you've been acting a little dodgy. I've been picking up on some dodgy vibes. What's happening?" And at first he seemed a little squirrely, and then after a while he was like, "Well, there is this one thing that I was kind of uncomfortable about telling you." And then we had a conversation about it. And it wasn't like some huge, massive deal breaker, but it was something that he was worried about if I found out that I would be upset about.
Yeah. So let me give you one from the people that say, nope, I don't care if you're married. I don't care what, that your phone is private. You're allowed to have one thing that's private. Let me give something for them.
Okay.
Initially, I thought, I don't think your spouse has the right to go through your phone at any time that they want for other reasons that we listed. But because there's things, let's say that I'm in a, you have girlfriends that you're talking to, and let's say that you're talking to them, like, don't you think that you have the right to talk to them about the relationship, certain things that you might not be ready to talk with your partner about
privately?
privately? Aren't you allowed to have those private discussions
Absolutely, you
without
are.
your spouse's eyes peering into your world?
Yeah.
It feels
Or
like you're
even better,
absolutely.
I have a app on my phone where I journal, which
Yes,
is nice.
as I do,
'cause
yeah.
I love journaling, and my physical journal is not always with me, but my phone always is.
Yep.
And I've got a journal app on there that's not locked. And you know what? Probably about half of it is about problems that I've had,
Yeah.
or I'm
Yeah.
not sure how to
Me
talk
too.
to him about
Me
this.
too.
But it helps me to write it out.
And
And I've told him before, like, babe, you don't want to read what's in
No.
that folder. Like, it's not meant for your eyes. Nothing
Nope.
in there is going to make you feel better about anything. It's just
Nope.
me sorting out with words how I feel about things.
100%. I have that exact same thing.
Oh, that makes me feel so much
And there
better.
have been
Yeah.
plenty of entries where it's literally just been me venting.
Oh, yeah.
befo-
I have caps lock
before-
entries. They're all. I turn the caps lock on and I'm yelling at myself in the entry. Like, I am so upset about this.
That
What
is so
he
funny.
doing?
Yeah. I have that exact same thing minus the caps locks.
You should try it. It's very cathartic.
I should try it. That sounds really.
Yeah.
And the thing is after I vented, the next day I go back and look at it, and it's not as emotionally charged.
Isn't that fascinating?
Yeah.
I'm like,
so
who's
if they
this
read
psycho?
that,
Yeah,
if
exactly.
they were peering into my world, they would get a different picture. Like, I'm
Yeah.
allowed to vent. It's essentially like reading a diary. Your phone has the capacity. Anyways,
Yeah.
that's people that are for. Now, people that are against, let me give something for them.
Okay.
I do want to say in my video that personally, just from a marriage standpoint, I believe your spouse should have the right to whatever you text to someone of the opposite sex or whatever sex you're attracted to.
For what purpose? I'm just playing devil's advocate here, but expand on that. They should have the right because
I guess
fill in that blank.
Because you shouldn't be saying anything to the opposite sex that you wouldn't mind your partner seeing. That's the only reason.
Excellent.
For me.
Yeah, well said. Well said.
That's not to say that I'm not saying that means that it's justified that they should comb through your stuff. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying,
Right.
like, anything that you're saying to another person, it's just a good rule to have, especially when
Yeah.
it comes to the opposite sex. It's a good guardrail for your own personal. Anyways,
No, I like that a lot. I like that a
so
lot.
going back to, I think we already talked about this, but for the people that say no, you should be able to look at your partner's phone, and they should be an open book. If they don't have anything to hide, then they should let you. I think we already touched on this, but you could imagine how unhealthy it could get, because it starts to get into the nitty gritty kind of quickly, where it's like, okay, well, how often can they just like pick up your phone and look through it?
Yeah.
And how often are they doing it? I mean, this is
Sure. And for the anxious amongst us,
yes,
being able to look all the time is not you working on building
So true.
trust, and like it can
That-
become
that's
kind of a
not-
crutch too.
you couldn't. Yes, that's so spot on.
Mm-hmm.
Like you think in your head, this is going to help me to calm down. This is this is building trust between us. Where I pick up your phone once a week and look through all of your text messages to Johnny and what you said about
Right.
X, Y, and Z. That is not healthy behavior.
It's not a
Like,
trust, but it's not a trust builder. And not to mention, if you're feeling anxious and nervous about it in the first place, any text that you're reading, text exchange between your spouse and somebody else, you might inject secretive,
Absolutely.
illicit meanings into.
You're
that aren't
essentially
even there.
looking for incriminating anything incriminating.
Exactly.
You're confirming
and
whatever.
Remember the Gottmans? We got it right. Here's our time where we talk about the Gottmans, but how they talk about cultivating
They
an
should pay us.
atmosphere.
No, I'm
They
just
really
kidding.
should. We're selling books for them. When they talk about cultivating an atmosphere of appreciation and
Yes.
admiration and trust, you're not doing that when you're treating your significant other like they need to be policed, you know?
For sure. Absolutely. Yeah. So did we cover anything? Is there any other controversial statements?
Well,
Because I
maybe-
can't wait to make a video about this because I haven't made one yet.
Oh,
I have
excellent. I hope
and
this informs it.
Yes. I think people are going to really resonate, whether they agree with me or not.
Let me dig something up from my past too, just for the folks who are going, well, I don't care what Ricky and Jimmy say about this because I still feel the need to go through to make myself feel better.
Yeah.
I remember in the past, I succumbed to the urge to pick up an ex's phone
Yep.
and look at the pictures. And everything was perfectly fine until I got way back in the photo album and I found a picture of him all snuggled up with an old girlfriend. And at first, I was horrified. Like, I just imagined him, like, secretly pulling that photo up and pining over that old significant other. But then later, once I'd calmed down about it, I realized I have pictures on my phone with
Yeah.
exes, and I don't pull those up and pine. It's just happy memories from a long time ago. And that's it.
Yeah.
And somebody could look at that who's with me and go, oh, does she still want that person? Does she miss being with them? And it's like,
Right.
I mean, we do have a tendency to read into things that aren't really there.
Yeah.
So
Is this somewhere where we should segue into unhealthy versus healthy jealousy? Is that something we can talk about?
Yeah, that's a big one. I didn't know we were going there today with that. I love it.
didn't either.
Let's
Yeah.
do it. Healthy jealousy. That almost sounds like an oxymoron.
It does
but-
sound like an oxymoron, but I think, when I think of healthy jealousy, I think of it in such a positive. I put such a positive light on it. It sounds like jealousy that, like, if we were in a relationship, like I want you to know that I only want you, and like I only and I want so much for this relationship. Like healthy jealousy would almost be like, I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z because, like, I really want this relationship. I don't know if that makes sense, but
it's a tough one to explain. Let me maybe
help me,
maybe I
please.
could tackle it. Yeah, maybe
Help
I
me,
could tackle
please.
it here. I would say, well, let's imagine a relationship where there's absolutely no jealousy present. And by that, I don't mean we live in complete serene security that everything's cool. I'm saying there's an absence of that glue and that need to keep the relationship together. So
Yeah.
a relationship completely devoid of jealousy might also be a relationship completely devoid of passion, because we don't have that urge to view it as a special treasured thing that we want to keep
Yeah.
just for our own. So that
maybe
is that.
jealousy is probably not the right word. I probably picked the bad word, but I'd have to look up the exact definition of jealousy, because maybe it's not as bad as we think. It has such a negative connotation in our head.
Yeah, that's true. I always too.
But
There's
maybe
a
it's not as toxic
interesting-
as-
Maybe not. There's an interesting distinction between jealousy and envy too.
Oh, okay.
Let me pull that up. I have the
Yeah.
Google machine here.
Oh, I love that.
Jealousy versus envy. So the way I love the word envy because envy.
Yeah, we don't get
is-
to use that very much.
No, it's a good one. It's not a good one. Envy is a terrible thing. Envy is when you see something that someone else has.
Yeah.
Let me see. Okay, envy is the painful feeling of wanting what someone else has.
Yeah. I know that. Very well.
jealousy, you know that one? Oh, you know that feeling. And jealousy is when you feel a threat about losing something that you have to someone else.
Oh,
So let's
interesting.
wrap our mind around that. If I see that some girl has like the whitest teeth I've ever seen in my life, I can definitely look at that and be like, I have a painful feeling inside because I want what they have. And that's very different from seeing her shine those beautiful white teeth at my significant other and think my relationship is now threatened because I feel like she's going to be luring him away.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if you could
say-
fit it into the jealousy category of just intentionally not wanting to lose your spouse. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It might be mincing words. I don't know if
I
that
don't know.
is really
I bet you $1 million
jealousy.
bucks. If I Google healthy jealousy right now, I bet you something's coming up. Do you think the listeners are also Googling trying to beat me? Some of them
No,
have.
they are. They've already decided whether or not that's stupid or not.
Here we go. There is an entry, and it's in the couplescenter.org, which sounds fairly reputable.
Absolutely.
Healthy jealousy exists when a person is afraid that something or someone better will end the relationship. Wow, I'm really
doesn't
surprised
sound
that.
healthy.
Yeah, that doesn't sound healthy to me either. It's let's see. It's proof that they have to put their partner first, and they want their partner to reciprocate that.
You know,
I
Jillian
actually dislike
Turecki-
this a lot.
Yeah. It's good to
couple
say it how it is.
Yeah.
I just heard Jillian Turecki say the other day, for anyone who doesn't follow Jillian Turecki,
Oh, she's.
I don't know
Jen.
exactly how to spell her last name, but
Yeah.
you'll figure it out.
You'll find her, Jillian with
she's,
a J.
She's absolutely just brilliant. So please go follow her after you follow us, please.
Right. Us first.
she's absolutely brilliant, and I try to soak up as much of her information as possible. She literally just posted the other day. She probably posts like so much every day, but she posted essentially don't forget that this thing isn't guaranteed. Like if you're in a relationship with somebody,
I love that.
and that's a big difference between I'm terrified that they're going to leave me, because there's a lot of that. Sometimes people have shame and they're just terrified, whether it's subconscious or not. I'm terrified this person's going to abandon me.
And low self-worth feeding those
self-worth.
thoughts. Yeah.
Big time. That's a different issue, other than just like, I understand that this thing is not to be taken for granted. I don't want to get complacent. I don't want to get emotionally lazy. I want to prioritize this person because I know that this isn't guaranteed. They could walk away from this relationship, and I don't want that.
And here's another thing. I think let's keep using healthy jealousy. Let's coin healthy jealousy. It might not be terrible.
It will never take off.
You don't want to?
I want to do whatever you want to do.
The idea that we don't have any jealousy, meaning we have no fear whatsoever that our partner might go somewhere else, kind of is an unhealthy hubris and pride in how we're viewing ourselves.
Be.
Are we so special that we don't have to work on things to make sure that our partner is feeling great and loving it in the situation with us? Because there's plenty of other people outside of our relationship that could probably make our significant other very happy.
Yeah.
No matter how great we are.
Now, in the best relationships, obviously, we should disclaimer in healthy relationships, you're not worried that your partner is going to walk away at any second. Obviously.
Absolutely not. And that's hallmark of secure attachment too. I would say the feeling that you feel pretty good that your partner is enjoying their time with you, and you guys
because if they weren't,
for each other.
They would talk about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
The partners that just bounce and ghost you, that was not a secure relationship. That was not a healthy relationship. So don't get me wrong. Like, we all have a little bit of a twinge of like, I don't want my partner to leave me, or a lot of people do.
Right.
But that's not the same as like a complete fear of them just ghosting and not coming home one day.
Totally. And that little fear that they could leave can be very motivating to be the best version of yourself that you can be.
I don't see anything wrong with that. Yeah. I don't, I'm liking healthy jealousy. The more
I
we talk
know.
about it.
Okay, never mind.
No, I was just talking-
Couplecenter.org. You guys are cool. Maybe
I
that's
still
what they
hated
mean.
what they said.
Really? All right. Never mind.
What should we segue? I know where I want to segue, but I want to hear if you have any segues that you want to. If anything comes to mind, let me know. Or
Well,
otherwise,
I do
I'm just gonna.
want to touch on envy again.
Oh, I would love that.
Yeah, because I get a ton of messages. From
I have a huge
people.
problem with that, so please help me.
Do you? Well,
No,
I used to. That's why I believed you right now when you said that. I used to, for sure.
I have financial envy because we don't have any money. So sometimes I'm like, boy, what is it like to have
They're
some money?
killing
But
it. Yeah.
that's whatever.
Yeah, I think back when I was struggling with envy, I did a lot of research on how to because that's how I do it, Jimmy. I have a problem and then I just research the heck out of it.
Smart.
But I was looking up how do I cope and handle all this jealousy,
Envy.
how do I cope with all this envy that I have? How do I kind of rise
Yeah.
above it? And envy, when you spend a significant amount of time looking at other people and what they have and comparing yourself unfavorably, going, oh, I don't have those things, it can really point you to your areas of work in a great way. So I really sat down and got comfy with my envy. I wrote down the things that other people had that really made me upset. And I worked on those areas in myself,
Yeah, I love that.
and it was actually very helpful for me. And now I don't feel those things nearly as strongly because it's like I don't know. I know that anybody listening to this is probably at one point or other worried about their weight. And I know that for me personally, when I have a good exercise regimen in place and I'm making healthy decisions for lunches and dinners, I don't tend to worry about my weight. And I think that envy works a lot like that. If you're not working on the things that you feel insecure about, it's very easy to look out at other people and go, they have that and I don't, and that makes me upset. But if you're actively working on those things, it's a lot harder to be upset about what other people have attained because you have a good feeling about how you're handling it.
Yeah, I like that. And it obviously, like you said, it all comes back to self-reflection and being cognizant of what those insecurities are, which is oftentimes hard. I mean, it's hard to sit with those insecurities.
It's when I say I got snuggly with my envy, I don't mean it was a great time. We weren't toasting and sitting by the fireside. It was dark.
Yeah.
It was dark in there.
It went dark, yeah.
Yeah.
So where I wanted to go with this whole phone issue and yada yada, I thought it would be a good place for us to just kind of hash out. There's a lot of people, even if they're not struggling with phone issues, I think there's a lot of people that are struggling with a lack of trust in their relationships.
Yeah.
Even if they don't check their partner's phone, even if they've just kind of given that up, like, I don't care, I'm not going to check their phone, but if they really dug deep, it would probably be true that they didn't actually trust their partner. So let's go through that real quick. For me, trust, I always try to tell people from the definition that I have, which is probably not the best, but trust is the sense that you can rely on your partner, that you feel like they have your back. You can rely on them emotionally, you can rely on them physically, you can rely on them sexually. You have a sense that if something's important to you, you believe that they will share your that importance. They will mirror and say, that I botched that so bad, but if something's important to you, it's important to them.
You're doing better than you think. They've got your back.
Yeah,
But
they got your back.
it's the feeling that they are on the
And
same
there's so many
team.
things that go into that, because there's a lot of people that say, well, how do you know if somebody's on your team or not? But obviously there's a whole bunch of different things that you could go into that. You could bring up mutual chores. You could bring up the bedroom. You can bring up, the fact that they don't prioritize you like they used to. There's a whole bunch of things that go factor into trust. But what I want to talk about is let's talk about some ways to build up that trust. Let's say two people let's say you actually had two people that say, we don't think we're where we're supposed to be. So let's
And we'd like
build
to
up some
build some
trust.
I'm glad you said that. I was hoping that's where you're going with all that.
Oh, fantastic. Can you take over? I've been stumbling.
Well, let me think. I haven't done the research that you have on this. What kind of things make me feel like my partner is on my team and I
love that.
and he has my back? I think feeling like he understands the things that I care about and want.
Yep.
That is probably the biggest thing that comes to mind. So building trust for us would look like him just letting me know, hey, here's this thing, and I know that it's important to you. Just verbalizing that and knowing that, that's a huge trust builder for me.
That's huge.
I guess devil's advocates could say he could be lying or telling you what you want to hear. But you know what?
Who thinks like that, Ricky?
Well,
That's
I don't know.
so dark.
But if that's what you're worried about, why are you in a relationship with that person, right?
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
moving right along, Jimmy, what's something in your relationship that's like a big trust builder for you guys?
So a big trust builder for me, and this is true for a lot of people, is consistency.
Oh,
So
yes. Yeah.
trust is always built, even though trust can be lost in a moment, which I know all too well. Trust has to be either rebuilt or even built from the beginning. Trust is built slowly and consistently. And you talked about this either last week or the week before when you talked about the stages of relationship and how one stage is like
Yes.
trusting the person, and it's a process. It's not like
Yeah.
you shouldn't be trusting somebody fully on the third date. That's not the way this works.
There needs to be a history of trust.
Absolutely. So consistency is a huge one. And when I say consistency, the thing that sparks in my head is a lot of people, one of their major complaints is, well, my spouse or my partner said they were going to do something and then they did not follow through.
Dang it. I'm that partner. That's me. That's me. With chores.
I'm that
with
person.
Chores.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Just saying. That's me, guys.
So that is now obviously when it comes to trust, there's big ways to break trust and there's little ways to break trust.
Yes.
So when you say you're going to do the dishes and you don't do the dishes, I don't put that in the huge trust breaking category.
Okay, I'm
now,
a little trust breaker. That's what you're saying then. I'm a
absolutely,
little trust breaker.
I am. But over time, little trust breaks add up to big trust breaks. And anyone listening who's gone through those, there's a lot of relationships that do not have any sexual betrayal in them, but they still have betrayals in them.
It's the death by 1,000 cuts.
It is
right?
the death.
Yes.
It's the Matthew Frey. Anybody that wants to read a good book, Matthew Frey, This Is How Your Marriage Ends. That's where I think he quotes that.
Okay.
And it's a lot about how we need to step up in the mutual chore department and how that can be a betrayal in itself. And anyways, there's lots of ways to betray your partner. Gottman he makes a good reference. He mentions coldness, disrespect. He lists a whole bunch of things.
Cuts. Yeah, not a big event, but lots of little events that.
Yep. There's still tons of ways to betray your partner through just general unkindness and disrespect. There's tons of issues. So my point is, trust is built consistently. If you say you're going to do something, follow through. Trust is also built in the ways that you just mentioned, where it's like knowing what's important to my partner. I mean, you can't have someone's back if you don't know what that means to them.
No, you can't.
You can do it the way that you think it should be done. But when you're in a relationship, I don't think that's a healthy way to look at things. How do I want to do things? Well, sure, you can do things the way that you want to. You can love them the way that you think that they should be loved.
We'll see how long they stick around for that.
Yeah.
Right? But
eventually they're going to rebel in your eyes, and they're going to say, you're not, I don't feel loved. And you're going to say, well, that's crazy because I love you. And they're going to say, well, sure, you can say whatever you want, but I don't feel loved. And that's one of the biggest issues in relationships, in my opinion, is if you look at most counselors' offices and say, you could ask, do you both love each other? I bet 99% of them would say absolutely.
Sure.
But if you asked them, well, do you feel loved? I bet one of the two of them would say, nope.
And do you know the way that your partner needs to feel loved? And maybe both of them would go, I don't know.
Sure.
I don't know.
Absolutely. Yeah. So anyways,
building trust.
Building trust. Right. Do you have any other, because I was just thinking of when it comes to whether or not you should look at your partner's phone. And we already talked about if you have a desire to look at their phone, or if you're right there about to put in their code, you clearly have a trust thing going on. Whether it's justified or not is not what we're arguing about. You might find material on there that justified you looking.
Right.
But there's still a trust issue in the relationship. So you kind of have to make that judgment call on your own of whether or not you're going to.
Well, hey, I did want to add,
Yeah.
if you're not sure how to build trust with your partner in a way that would make them feel more trusting of you in
Ask
the
them.
relationship. Yeah, you got it. You beat me to it. Ask them.
Yeah.
And I think, man, I can't imagine a partner receiving that question with anything but total glee. I mean, if my partner was like,
Yeah.
what can I do to make you feel more trust? I would be like, yes, let me tell you all the things. Why would
Yeah.
anybody not be
Now, from a
open
male
about that?
perspective, if a female comes to, if any female is watching and they go to their significant other tonight and they say, I want to build trust with you. Tell me all the ways that I can build trust with
What
you.
are they going to say? Is that going to be bad?
I would bet money that he says, I don't even know what you're talking about. Like,
Oh, yeah.
he would be
probably.
like, are you saying that you're like worried about cheating? Like what? Because for most people, trust equals the confidence that my partner is not going to cheat on me.
Right.
So, but it's so much more than that. It's not,
Right,
so
but that's where they're going to go.
That's where they're going to go.
Did we just tell Frank, our listener who has did we just tell Frank that he needs to go to his wife and say, how can I build more trust with you?
Oh,
He's
for
the
sure.
only one
I'm
this
so sorry.
applies to.
I'm really sorry. No. I think that, I think whoever, I think it just needs to be reworded for if a male is talking to his female significant other, absolutely.
Okay, how can I build trust with you? And that's what the woman wants to hear.
Let's scratch that. No, she wants to hear, how can I better show up so that you feel valued? It's the same word.
It's the
just
same thing.
But it's a
Yeah.
different answer. I mean, not a different answer,
love
but it's a different packaging.
Yeah, Jimmy, that's what I like about us, because sometimes I know that I read too many therapy books, and sometimes the scripting that I use is very clinical and not realistic, but I feel like you've got a much better handle on whether or not it's going to be received in a way that's like, oh, they're trying to therapize me,
That's true.
But you know how to say it in such a way that a real person
I wish I could
can
take that
receive
compliment,
it.
but I will
You don't
fumble
think
over my
so?
words in 30 seconds from now. But those are just great trust building questions. Instead of just like the clinical, how can we build trust?
Yeah.
How do you feel valued?
Yeah.
When I say I want to have your back in this relationship, what comes to mind? What immediately comes to mind when I say that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Your partner is going to have some answers to that, whether it's the mutual chores, whatever it's stuff that you don't want to hear, like, well, you didn't follow through on this, last week or yada.
Yeah.
But part of that process in itself is trust building. Like you said
It
earlier,
is,
when my
yeah.
partner cares about what's going on, with the understanding,
What's important to me when they care
that's a
about
massive trust
Yeah.
builder, because
Here's-
it shows
here's a-
that they care.
Here's an
Yeah.
actual phrase that I have used that did go well along
Okay.
those same lines. I said, what can I do today to make you feel loved?
Yeah.
What can I do today that will
how
make you feel like
simple
you're
is
important
that?
to me?
Can you imagine two partners saying that to each other?
That's beautiful.
Is a bad relationship possible when two partners actually care to say that to each other?
I think it's a lot harder to have a bad one. when
It's a lot harder.
Yeah.
That's not to say that
Yeah.
you're not going to have days where you don't get along.
Right.
And can we just side tangent real quick? Because Ricky and I did
Please,
text each other.
let's.
When
I
we
think
were,
we both had rough days today. You and I both.
Ricky and I both got, and I'm actually going to make a video about this too, because I recently had to apologize. I want to say, for any of the people that are listening that think that I am like, I get a lot of compliments, and I need to
You're
make
like,
sure
you're
that
the
people,
ideal man. Right?
yeah, I get a lot of compliments,
Yeah.
and I want to make sure people know I am not
Yeah.
perfect. I am not. The only thing I am is trying. And you know what's funny?
Oh, I love that. I
know
want that
what's-
bumper sticker. The only thing I am is trying. I feel that.
Do you want to know what's funny? Sometimes I think that's really all women want. Like,
It's true. I've said that before, actually.
Men think that they want perfection.
Yeah.
But really, they just want somebody that's trying.
No,
Like-
it's true. In the beginning of my relationship, this is verbatim. I said, I don't need perfection. I need effort. That's it.
Seriously.
That's
Now
it.
we can argue on what effort is, but
Right.
But just come on. Anyways, so I want to tell a quick story, because I know we've already taken up so much of your time. But I recently was in an argument, and the argument only lasted like 30 seconds because I came into the argument heated. And so I had stuff in there that I wasn't even aware of it. And once Emily started once we kind of got into the argument, Like, all right, are we going to do this? Are we going to do this argument thing?
Right.
I just immediately, all that stuff just came to and I was like boiling over. This is like 45 seconds in.
Yeah.
And I didn't say anything mean to her. I just was like, just the way I was like making my point was so aggressive.
Oh, she could tell. Yeah.
Oh yeah. She was like, babe, you're flooded. She was like, babe, you're flooded.
That's amazing of her to recognize, though. Kudos to her.
And so
Wow.
I stopped talking, and she said, I think we just need to take a break and we'll come back. Let me tell you, I always tell people, like, if you're flooded, take a break. I always tell people that, especially men. I'm like, men, if you get flooded, if you get angry, it's okay to get angry, but like you need to take a break. Let me just tell you, when you have to actually do it, and when somebody else tells you, somebody that cares about you,
Yeah.
they're like, hey, you're flooded, you just need to take a break. But they don't say it in a demoralizing, or what's the word?
No. Yeah. Demeaning.
It feels, but it feels so. It's so humbling, and it's
Yeah.
so embarrassing.
It is so
When somebody's like,
embarrassing.
so you're flooded, you need to take a quick break. You're like,
shame
everything,
immediately
there's so
just
much
cloaks
immediate shame.
you.
And I literally stomped out of that room. I didn't say
Mm-hmm.
another word because I knew she was right. I was like, I'm going to just leave. And,
Yeah.
because you're right. And, anyways, things were fine after that. But
Well, it's so funny because
Yeah.
the deal that I got into today was kind of just the opposite. It was like I felt very upset and as if I was about to unleash some very unkind words. And so I, in a very stompy way, was like, I'm going to go, and
yeah.
and he's like all calm, and he's like, or maybe this is like the moment when you should stay and talk about it. And I was like, man, like, because I wasn't flooded. I was just upset.
Right.
Maybe
Yeah.
that's it. He knew that I wasn't flooded. I was just needing,
and
not wanting to communicate.
And I don't want to infer, but part of the reason why you might not want to communicate in that moment, and part of the reason that I have trouble communicating sometimes is because I don't really want to be vulnerable right then. Like,
Oh, that's it.
You know what I mean?
No, you're right. You're right. I just want to go be angry.
absolutely.
That's what I thought. I don't want to sit and talk
and
about
our partner
the
is
hard
essentially
things.
saying, why don't you be
Yeah.
vulnerable and open up? And you're like,
That's what he
no.
said. I know. I was frowning. I was like, fine, I'll stay here and talk about it. And then I
Yeah.
did. And it was hard getting the words out. But as soon as I did, I
Yeah.
felt immediately better. I was
Yeah.
like, I hate it when he's right.
That is so
But
funny.
he was. Yeah.
Yeah. So just to
So,
let everybody know,
yeah.
we are still a work in progress.
No, I
and,
love it. Yeah. I'll get the comments, people, because I've been posting a lot of videos with me and Chris lately. And people will post like, wow, you guys are like couple goals, like dream couple. You're so cute.
Absolutely,
And then
yeah.
I think back to those moments in the car where I'm just like, I'm going to leave. I just, and then
Sure.
he's like,
Oh,
or
for
you
sure.
should stay and talk about tough stuff. And I'm like, we're not,
Oh, yeah.
we're not some perfect
Yeah.
couple that doesn't have
Oh, yeah.
arguments. We
The good thing about
do.
me is even when I get those very generous compliments,
Mm-hmm.
it never goes to my head because I know how
Yeah.
flawed I am. I know every
Yeah.
one of my flaws because
Yeah.
I try to be as self-reflective as possible. And
Mm-hmm.
and the more self-reflective you get, the more you're like, wow.
Yeah. I know.
Like, wow,
It's-
I'm
we were
not there
saying-
yet. I'm not there yet. Like you can almost teach this stuff, but like how's your practice going? Like,
Yeah. I think
So,
I
we're
got
all a
that
work
one
in
thrown at me
progress.
the other day. He was like, you really know what to tell other people, but
Oh.
sometimes the way
That's
that
a
you
good
act,
one.
I was like, oh, he really, yeah.
Yep. There's
But
nothing
it's true.
more humbling than that. Yeah. So
Do as we say, everyone, not as we. No, we're doing okay. We're trying.
we're doing, yeah. We're all a work in
trying.
progress. That's the point. We're all like, don't ever think that somebody else is just like, oh, they must have the best relationship. Like, really? I
No.
bet they have their struggles just like everybody else.
Jimmy,
Like,
wrap your brain around this. I
Yeah.
want you to picture the Gottmans fighting because it's
Oh, yeah.
like you think they probably
Yeah.
don't, but man, they've been together for years. I'm sure
Oh, yeah.
they still have arguments and fights.
Yep. I bet
They've
they
got
do.
tons of tools for finding
Sue-
their way out of that, but for
And
sure
that's
they
what it's all
fight.
about. That is
Yeah.
exactly
Yeah.
I remember Sue Johnson saying somewhere, like, and I've already quoted this, so I won't quote the relationship stability hinges on healing the small rifts instead of like the massive blowups or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Sue Johnson says the same thing. Like, it's not. You're still going to have conflicts, and you're
Yeah.
still going to make mistakes in conflicts.
Yep.
The only thing that's going to change is that you're going to learn how to repair and reconnect, and that will make all the difference.
Oh, that's
And,
so comforting.
so
Somebody asked me on the account, They said, I bet you guys don't have hardly any fights anymore. That's
gosh.
And I said, I would actually think that we might have more conflict than we used to, just because in the beginning it was a lot of shoving it under the rug and not talking about things. And now
it's safe.
Everything is on the table for discussion. And so we have more times where we're entering into uncomfortable conversations, but that also means we have more resolution and we have more intimacy because we know more of what bothers the other person and more of what they want.
Yeah. Because that conflict can lead to closeness if we
absolutely
have
it
the
sure
tools.
does.
And
both of our
obviously
fights today, I think, sound like they led to more closeness, right?
Yeah.
Mine did.
It at least led to more transparency or understanding.
More understanding. That's intimacy, isn't it?
Yeah. But closeness. I'm just saying, like, I just want to reassure people that, like, sometimes it's not always going to end with you guys in each other's arms,
snuggling on the couch.
No. It might just end with like, I understand. Like, we fully understand each other, and we're respecting each other, and like being kind to each other. That doesn't always lead to snuggly time.
I want to say I rebuffed a snuggle attempt after that one. I was not feeling very snuggly. No. I was feeling more understood but not as snuggly, for sure.
Not as snuggly.
Maybe later.
Absolutely.
Not now, though.
All right, where should we tangent from here, Ricky?
I don't know. Do we recap things? This was a good one. This was another question that was sent in that I want you to touch on.
Yeah,
let's do it.
The question is, how does mental health play a role in relationships, specifically a partner that has anxiety and or depression?
Well, I can. I like that question. At being a partner who struggles with anxiety, I think it plays into relationships in a big way. Unfortunately, I say unfortunately because I know how my anxiety stresses my relationship out. But I also feel like I have a great partner who really understands what I need and how to handle me when I'm in that state. So that's nice. I also am a person who takes lots of efforts to understand my anxiety and what I need to do for myself when I have a lot of it. But it definitely touches more aspects of my relationship than I wish it did.
I bet. Yeah. One thing that I thought of when it comes to depression, we know how debilitating that can be. We know how hard to treat anxiety and depression can be. We know how much shame there is around those things. So at no point do I want people to feel like I'm shaming them or my point is that I think that depression can have such a strong role in your relationship. I mean, way more than you would want it to. And my point in all this is, like, obviously we know that appreciation and gratitude and joy and like kindness and selflessness, they all build our relationship up. And that's really the goal. I mean, when you really get down to it, the problem is when you factor in depression, all that stuff is almost, it seems impossible. Selflessness, you can barely function as a, like, you kind of go self-centered as a protection. Like, you're depressed.
Absolutely.
You're not just going to be. Or
in anxiety, same thing.
Absolutely.
And a very anxious person is not able to step outside of that feeling and do lots of things.
When it comes to joy, I mean, hard to be joyful when you're, when it comes to kindness, when it comes to gratitude, all of this stuff, appreciation of what your partner's. My point is it's very difficult. It makes things very difficult. Now, having said that, if you're the partner that has depression, I'm not saying that you're a problem. I'm not saying that, you're contributing to the relational problems. I guess all I'm saying is that I think it would be nice if you start to see, like, oh yeah, I am struggling in those areas. I think that your partner would be so much more, they're going to come along with you so much easier if you just talk about what you're going through. Yeah. And not try to hide it. Talk about what you're going through. I hope that they would be more empathetic to what you're going through, but also But also don't be afraid to say, I bet this is hard for you.
Yeah. Oh,
I mean,
no,
I don't think
absolutely.
I don't think that there's, now, is that difficult to do when you're feeling so much shame and you're feeling so much depression? Like, of course that's difficult to do, but I'm just saying, I bet that would help them. We're always trying to get in the shoes of the people that we love. And there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with just saying, like, I understand that what I'm going through is difficult for you, but this is what I would love to feel, or this is what I would love to, or this is what I need from you in this season.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever done that before. That may be something I'm about to bust out on my partner is, hey, for real. Like, I don't think
Yeah.
I've ever acknowledged how much mental weight he probably carries in dealing with my anxiety.
And what
And that
you just
doesn't mean
said-
I'm bad for having it, but it would probably go a
Absolutely.
long way to help him hold that weight up, for
And
for
what you
me
just
saying,
said is
like,
so
"Hey,
important."
thank you," and
Absolutely.
this must be difficult to deal with.
And what you said is incredibly important for the other person to say. The person that is the spouse of someone who has, or the partner of someone who has depression,
Yeah.
is to also say, or also to remember to reassure them that, like, I understand how difficult this is for you. Everything doesn't have to be
Yeah.
about us. We can
Yeah.
also say, what you're going through right now is extremely tough. And I don't want you to feel shame. I don't want you to feel like I'm about to leave you just because you're struggling with this. Like,
Yeah.
I'm here with you. That's part of the trust. That's part of the
I love
relying
it.
on each other. That's part of the emotional safety.
Hey, let's bring that
yeah.
right back around to jealousy too. If your
I don't know how to do
partner-
that, but I
going to
trust
do
you.
it as a writer. I'm doing it. I'm wrapping it right back around.
I love
If your partner is struggling with jealousy, and they've come to you saying like, "Hey, I'm feeling unsure about things. I've gotten some creepy vibes here, and I want to talk about it." Being able to look at them having that struggle and saying like, "I see you struggling with this, and I don't want that for you. That sounds really hard. And let's sit down and talk about it." Just, that goes
Absolutely.
such a long way. And maybe even being the jealous partner. Why am I pointing to myself here? Being the jealous partner and coming to your partner and saying like, "I'm struggling with this thing, and man, I don't want to be accusing you of anything." That would not feel good to
Yeah.
have to sit with an accusation like that. So I don't want to accuse you, but let's have a discussion about this because I
Yeah.
want us to feel good.
And that discussion is so important because you can get a lot of people who say, "Yeah, but we can't have that discussion because of X, Y, and Z, and this happens and this happens."
Yeah.
But I always want to tell those people, okay, but if you can't have those discussions, then
Yeah.
you're not really in a healthy relationship. Like, this relationship isn't where it needs to be to build that trust. Like, you're not building a solid foundation. Anytime anybody says, "Well, we can't have those conversations," I can almost 99% of the time say, "So how's your trust levels? How's your
Yeah.
intimacy levels?
Yeah.
How's your connection levels? How's your
Right.
emotional safety levels?" And they're always very low
Right.
because you can't have those discussions. So I understand how difficult it is to like figure all that out. Sometimes you have to go sit in front of a counselor, and that's difficult. Costs money, costs a lot of time. But like, these are the sacrifices that you have to make if you want this relationship to survive. And the only ways it really survives and thrives is if you build that trust and you build that
Absolutely.
intimacy.
And
So
you can do that in little ways. If you're not able to have the big conversations
both people
right
are-
now,
if both
things are
people are
very
willing.
embroiled, right? Yeah. Well,
Yes.
not necessarily. I don't know. I'm imagining a couple,
Yes.
a very conflict high couple. And if just one person makes more of an effort to sit down and say, "What
That's
can
true.
I do today to make you feel loved?" I mean, that's going to open the door a crack.
It's true.
To let some more
it takes
light
two. And it takes two to fight. So if one person
does, yeah.
stops that cycle and says, I'm no longer fighting with you, I'm going to speak to you in a respectful way. If this escalates into a fight where you're disrespectful, I have to leave.
Yes.
And we will have it again tomorrow.
That's a trust builder too. It's a safety
yeah.
builder.
Yeah. So there's always things that you can do that help the relationship. But as we say from time to time, eventually it always takes two for this thing to thrive. So
I'd agree with that. Yeah.
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 just like Chris. Chris in the beginning wasn't really coming along, but eventually Chris came along.
Yeah.
And you would have had to step away if he didn't do that.
I would have. Yeah. Sorry, Chris.
Sorry,
Well,
Chris.
sorry to any partner that's not willing
Absolutely.
to meet somebody halfway after a while. And you determine how long that while is.
Yeah, big
You're
time.
the only one who knows how long you can
Yeah.
handle being the only
Well,
one.
this has been great. We have not. I don't think we said anything that was tremendously offensive or anything. So
I
that's
don't think
good.
so. That was last episode, not this one.
I wanna plug your book real quick. The
Oh,
Anxious
thank
Hearts
you,
Guide.
Jimmy.
Go out and get it. This is what it looks like.
It's available on Audible
Yes.
now. Yes. Audible.
wonderful.
Yeah, people are. I'm getting some good feedback on the Audible.
Yeah.
Apparently,
Ricky
I
has
did-
multiple books actually, but this is the
do.
first one.
Yeah, and that's the best one. No,
The second one is the 21 day challenge.
Yes, 21-day challenge for anxious attachers. And as long as we're plugging each other's accomplishments here, Jimmy just hit 500,000 followers.
Oh
on
my gosh.
TikTok. And I knew I was
So
going to
jealous.
embarrass you today and say that.
I'm so excited. Yeah.
You're so jealous.
I don't know what that meant.
Yeah,
I say
that was
things
when
sometimes
you
when I
might
get
wanna- Are
I'm
you
not good with
overwhelmed?
compliments.
You're
Yeah, I get
flooded.
overwhelmed. So I'm flooded, but like in the reverse way. I'm
Right,
like flooded
right.
with
With
joy
good
and-
feelings. No, that's an
Can I just brag real quick? This
Try
this
it.
is off the record. People,
Yeah.
you can totally tune away. We're all done. So this
There's no more useful things coming.
There's literally no more useful things. Ricky and I are just going to talk for a second.
Yeah.
Can I tell you something crazy? This is just crazy. This is between you and me. Don't tell
All
anyone.
right. No.
I promise you I'm not bragging. It's more of just like a humble, like, can you even believe this? Okay. So I recently made a video. Now, granted, I was making fun of how mindless I have been in the past about dishes and stuff. Mm-hmm. Anyways, it resonated and I got really lucky. I think it's up to like 7 million. It's my
Yeah.
biggest video, obviously, by far.
That's
This is the crazy
amazing.
part though. This is the crazy part. I want you to guess how many new followers I gained from that one video. I want you to just guess because this blew my mind, Ricky. I don't even care if you guess too high. You can
Well,
guess
in
too
the
high.
interest of full disclosure, I was watching your account that day going, holy cow. And I think, was it somewhere around like 80,000?
Yes, 90,000.
90,000. See, look, I'm paying attention. Wow, that is insane.
yeah.
That's
That's
insane.
one video, Ricky.
Mm-hmm,
And I looked at the numbers later and I was like, 90,000 new followers because
Yeah.
of one video? Like, it's absolutely mind boggling. So anyone who's watching, that's like, you know what? I have some stuff to say. I
Yeah,
want to
try
make
it.
I want to make a TikTok account.
Try saying the things.
You can absolutely do very well and get, and I'm not trying to say that followers is the game. Like, these are people to me. Like,
Well,
I
how
actually
about
want
this?
to, yeah.
If you've got something to say that you really care about,
Yeah.
say it. Because you
Yeah.
never know who's going to hear that
My
and
goal
go,
is
oh
not
my gosh,
just-
me too. I feel so seen and heard. You know?
Absolutely. My goal is not just to get followers. I eventually want, now don't get me wrong, that video might not have just, changed lives.
The dishes video, yeah.
But my goal ultimately is to help people with their relationships.
Yeah.
And I don't have a degree in that. I just have a desire and a passion to figure this stuff out. And I hope that somehow that resonates and I hope people feel validated and I
Yeah.
hope to help people who are a little bit stuck. Like we're
Yeah.
stuck. And because I know exactly what's feeling stuck
Oh,
feels
yeah.
like.
That was my goal too. Community
Yeah.
building from people who feel
Yeah.
the same way.
So when I saw that, I was like 90,000 new people, like to hopefully help in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, Jimmy, they came for the
Anyways.
dishes, but they'll leave with better insight on how to talk to
There's
their
a-
significant other. Come
Yeah,
for the
I'm
dishes,
gonna
stay for the relationship advice that's very sound
Yeah.
and solid.
I'm gonna win him over. I hooked him in real good.
Yeah.
And now that I got my claws in him, I'm gonna teach him a little bit about empathy
There you
and healthy
go.
communication and
There
emotional
you
safety.
go.
And
I
you know
love
what?
it.
Just a real quick aside. I have gotten a ton of wonderful gentlemen that have reached out to me and they'll email me and say,
I love that.
I just started your account, and even though like sometimes it makes me feel like I'm the problem,
Yeah.
like I'm learning and stuff like that, and I always reassure them I don't think men are the problem,
Right,
even though
right.
I love to make videos about how mindless I could have been in the past.
But both of us, I think, have accounts that really focus on like radical responsibility for self
Yes.
and accountability and
Self-reflection and accountability, like man, you can go a long way with that. You can go a long way with that.
It's only every now and then that someone will pop up and tell me that I'm victim victim blaming and victim
yep,
shaming.
I get that too, for
and
sure.
I'm like, yeah, but the whole reason I'm here is to tell people, like, maybe it's not just all other people, right?
Yep.
Maybe it's not.
Yep. Yeah. I recently made a video about like being in a relationship with a narcissist, and I was just kind of like, in the nicest way possible, I was just reminding people that like there's certain tells that you need to be cognizant of in yourself, like low self-worth and low self-esteem and all that stuff. Like, and yeah, I sure do I get comments from time to time that are like, you're victim blaming, like they didn't choose to be in a relationship with a narcissist. And I'm like, I totally understand where you're coming from. Like, I was just trying to help them to see that, like, because eventually at the end of the day, you do have to try to get that person to see, like, ultimately you have to decide what you're willing to tolerate.
Oh, sure. And if you're in the very small percentage of the population who actually has been in a relationship with a narcissist, it's small, people, by the way. But if
Don't tell
that
people
is,
that. They don't want to hear that.
I know
review.
they don't want to hear that. But if that is them, and all they're doing is focusing on pointing the finger at that other person, they're not going to work on the
Nope.
qualities in themselves that made them a target for that kind of person.
Yep.
And
And do you know how I know
that's
that?
what we
because
want.
I've gotten multiple messages, emails that say, I got out of a narcissistic relationship. And
Right
I'm in
into a new one.
I'm in another one, and I don't know. And now they finally are coming to the realization, like, I might be the common denominator here.
Yeah.
I might be.
Yeah, maybe, just maybe, because there
Yeah,
really aren't
and that's
that
not
many.
to say that they deserve any abuse. That's not to say that. It's
No
just
one
to say,
deserves
like,
the abuse.
nope.
But if you're not
It's-
changing anything in yourself to get yourself out of situations like that, yeah,
I'm afraid you're going to repeat.
exactly. And I don't want that for them.
I don't
And you
want that for
either.
you.
Yeah.
No.
And that's what we're
Anyways,
here for.
so that was
That was
Do you have
a
any-
hard tangent, but that's all right. We're wrapping it up, right?
This is off the record. We're off the record now.
Oh, that's right. They're okay.
People
if they're-
tuned off hours ago.
Yeah,
There's-
if they're still here, that's their fault, not ours.
That's one way to win the viewers.
Yeah,
hearts.
no, this is cool. This is what is this
Yeah.
6? Is this episode 6?
I think this is episode. See, Ricky and I don't get to chat very much because
Yeah.
we live in different places
Time
and
zones
and
and-
it's probably not appropriate for us to just chit chat all day. So this is really the only time we get to chit chat.
Yeah, so you guys get all of it. You get all of the.
You
That's
get all
right.
of it. You get the helpful information and the non-helpful information.
You get marathons and narcissists and things that we
Yes.
did not say we were going to be talking about. But
And that's why we're the
okay.
unique podcast, and that's why we're ranked 47th in the United States.
You know
in
what
relation.
though?
No, I'm just kidding.
You know what though? We're 25th in Canada. So what?
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm really
that is
kidding. We are.
fantastic.
Well,
I love Canada. First of all, I heard
I do
they're
too.
extremely nice.
I may head there someday. I don't know.
Yeah,
We'll see.
I've been there once.
You
Unis and
should go back.
I can't remember the currency. Unis and two
Loonies.
I can't. Loonies.
The
Okay, I'm
loony.
sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. Now we're losing Canadian viewers. Let's get
We're-
off of
we
here.
dro-
And
We dropped sharply.
I will keep track of that. And if we're anything other than that number, I'll be like,
Is
it
that
was
part of your anxiety?
Canada comment. What's
Uh-oh.
start singing the anthem? What's the Canadian anthem?
Oh, Canada.
We love you, Canada. Don't go anywhere.
We love you,
guys
Canada. I get a lot I from Australia. People listen from
I do
Australia.
too. I do
and
too.
Switzerland.
Yeah.
Finland?
I'd say Canada
Yeah.
and Australia are my first
Me too.
fan.
I don't know about Canada.
Yeah, I mean,
Australia.
United States is first, obviously, because
Oh,
we're
for sure.
here. But then
USA.
Canada. Then,
I'm still.
But then
I
it's
still
Canada,
live here.
Then Australia. Yeah, you guys are
Yeah,
great.
anyways,
Hi.
we've gone well over time.
This
anyways,
is way
thank
over.
you so much for
Thanks
listening.
for being here, guys. Let's cut ourselves off.
I'll probably end up editing this. Maybe not. I don't care.
maybe- you
I
know
don't care
what?
anymore.
We're getting really good feedback. People seem to like this. We're here to be helpful, and I think it's been
Yeah.
helpful. So we must
love
be doing
that.
okay. Yeah.
We're gonna, and if we're not being helpful, we're gonna figure it out. We're
Yeah.
gonna figure it out.
By at least episode
2024 at
15.
least.
Yeah. We'll get there. Well, cool. Well, hey, everybody
Yeah.
who's actually still here listening, just
Yeah.
by being here listening, you're doing great things for your relationship and yourself,
Yeah.
and we appreciate that.
And I'm gonna reward you. Send me an email, and I'm gonna give you some money. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know.
You had me for a second. I was like, I'm not.
I know, I really-
so just don't
I know,
send
right?
it to
I
me.
really wanted to give them something.